So how far can the base Tesla Model 3 go at 70 miles an hour in the cold? Well, today we're going to answer that. It's 28 degrees here in New York State. We're about to do the range test on the Tesla Standard Range Plus 2021. Here it is. I melted some of the snow off, not all of it. The interior temperature of the car is 29 degrees Fahrenheit. It's about -1 degree Celsius. We're gonna take it down I-87 towards New York City, and in Newburgh, New York, and then come back up the same route. We'll have about a variation in elevation of, I think, 560 meters, but about neutral on the total elevation change. And yeah, let's get started. Snow brushed off. I'm charging off of 110, otherwise I would have melted it off with electrical power, but was not the case. So I'm going to actually drive it to a nearby municipal building with level 2 charging, and we will get it to 100% there. Look at all that ice. So cold. So we are at the municipal building in upstate New York, and we are going to use the hopefully free ChargePoint charger up here. I do not know if it is actually free or not. And we're gonna just top off until this reads about 259 miles, which is what my rated range is gonna be today, I think. Get the cabin really nice and warm and preheated, get our destination loaded in, and we should be good to go for the range test. So we are plugged in and charging. Gonna get into the warmer car. Check the status of the charging. We're going at 12, 15, 17, 18, 20 miles an hour, almost at 30 amps, 200 volts charging. So that's 30 times 200, about 6 kilowatts right now. The car is saying that we'll have 42% state of charge, and if we wanted to go round trip, we'd be at -4%. That's really pushing it. So I need 1 or 2% more to get there, and then to get back to a supercharger, which is in a slightly different location. I think we actually have almost an hour left to charge, which really sucks. I don't know if I'm going to actually make it to 100%. The reason why is because it's 28 degrees Fahrenheit, -2 degrees Celsius out. So what the car is doing right now is it's spinning its rear motor and consuming 3 kilowatts of power to do that, to resistively heat the motor, and then it will circulate coolant through that to heat up the battery. When the battery is sufficiently warm, it will stop doing that, and hopefully it will actually pick back up on the pure charging of the vehicle, but until then it can only use the remaining 2 or 3 kilowatts available at the charger to actually charge the battery. Also, once we get the battery up to about 98%, it should hopefully only say -2% to get back to our current location. Given that, we should be able to make it to our destination and back to the supercharger without too much concern. It's really going to be pushing it. It's going to be a thrilling adventure. All right, so we are at 98% SOC finally. The car has been really heating up the battery. I just checked the inlet temp. It's at 37 degrees Celsius, the cell temperature, which is pretty warm. That's in the hundreds of degrees Fahrenheit, so like 115 degrees Fahrenheit, something like that. It's actually pretty warm in here. It's 40 something degrees. I'm actually going to take my jacket off, even though it's 29 degrees Fahrenheit out. We'll see if that's a good move later. We're estimated to come back to this location at 0%, even according to the pessimistic Tesla, compared to a better route planner. So with that, I think it's time to set off. All right. All right, so we're only 52 miles into our journey, and we have a reference consumption of 239 watt hours per mile. We're anticipated to get to our destination now with 54%, so that's way ahead of schedule. It must have anticipated I was going to be driving faster. I usually do. So I actually pulled over because I need to pee so bad it's crazy, and I'm not as confident as Tesla Bjorn peeing in his own car. So I'm gonna have to take a quick break. We'll be right back, and then we're gonna hit the road. I'll do a little bit of accelerating to compensate for any regen or anything lost due to that. All right, so you might have seen on the time lapse, we made a big U-turn thing. We're headed back. We are anticipated to get to the Colony Mall with 5%. That's almost too much. I might go past the last exit. And yeah, just go a little bit past the destination, pull a U-turn, try and get a few more miles under the belt. I guess comments on driving so far. Autopilot's amazing. You just kind of sit around while the car drives you. The cabin's been surprisingly warm. It got up to 36 or 37. I'll have to check the tape. But I haven't had to turn the heat on. There's a bit of fog on the windows as a result. My feet are a little uncomfortably cold. But otherwise, I've just got the heat seater on, and that's it. Otherwise, it's been great. Yeah. Got some beautiful mountains over there. It's been a nice drive. It's a very quiet cabin, doing 70 miles an hour, and I don't know, you can hear me fantastically, I hope. Battery's temperature is 27, warmer than I would have anticipated. It's been really retaining its heat or consistently keeping it warm there. So we're getting pretty close. We're only 30 miles away from the mall. We're gonna have an excess capacity. And fun little fact, somewhere behind there, if it will focus, is a Tesla who's been following me clearly on autopilot for a while. We've been just cruising buddies. Yeah, so we're currently have 70 miles of rated range. I think we started with about 255. We've gone 147.3 miles with an average energy consumption of 244 watt hours per mile, more than 4 miles per kilowatt hour, which is absolutely outrageously efficient. I've actually stepped up the cruise control to 71 instead of 70 just because I'm getting bored. Also, I haven't turned the heat on for this entire trip, and it's been 30 degrees outside. I have no idea what that's about, if this cabin's just super well insulated or what, but I'm guessing that's why I've been getting such great range, because just haven't had to put the heat on. Anyways, cool. Well, all right, we are a mile away from our exit, and the car has done so well. It's done much better than Tesla or a better route planner predicted, probably because I didn't use the heat and I drove, for the most part 70 miles an hour. So with that, I'm gonna actually have to go past the Colony supercharger. I think I'm gonna have to drive something like another 10 miles out, maybe 10 miles back. I really want to get this thing to as close to 0% SOC as possible. Maybe even beyond zero. There's supposed to be a bit of a buffer after 0%, not too much, so I can really measure the range through and through. I stepped up the speed to 72 to compensate for any, slower than it should have been speeds prior to that, or any inaccuracy in Tesla's speed measurement. Okay, we're at 7% battery, saying we're gonna arrive with 1%. There was a little period there where it said we were gonna have less than 0. So this is an official range test here, folks. I'm nervous. I think we're gonna make it just fine. I'm pretty sure there's like 4.5% battery below 0. Hopefully that state of charge estimator on Tesla's car is the best in the business, like they claim, and we'll be arriving with 0%. Right, look at that. We've been averaging 240 watt hours per mile, 92.6 miles gone, 6 or 7% battery. It's popping around. It's probably just above 6%. We'll arrive to the supercharger with 1% battery. All right, folks, we're at 4% battery. I kept going up to 74 sometimes by accident, not even paying attention because I turned autopilot off. Just trying to conserve whatever last bit of energy I have, probably being too aggressive with it. And we're about to roll 200 miles. 199.6, 199.7, 199.8, 199.9, 200.1. That's a bit odd. So I've been told it's actually off by 2% technically. It's range meter, so maybe we got another few miles to actually roll 200, but this car can definitely do 200 miles of range in New England winter comfortably. My feet are a bit cold, but it's totally doable. And then you got to remember, there's some buffer left beneath that 1%. So you can arrive at 0%. It's just, you got to be pretty ballsy. So anyways, I'll meet you guys at the supercharger. All right, just rolled into the supercharger. We're at 1%. The battery is very low. We've got a very low warning. We did 205.5 miles, consumed 49 kilowatt hours and 239 watt hours per mile. I'll show some conversions down there. So I started at 98% and ended at 1%. So technically we had 3% more, which would put us at 211.85 miles. If you went from 100% to 0% in 32-degree weather with the heater off at 70 miles per hour average. All right, it's the next day, and I reviewed the data. I'll put an image right there. And the battery management system reported that the battery had 53.5 kilowatt hours usable. Well, this is consistent with the EPA rating. It actually led to a situation where we saw greater range produced than what other people anticipated. Our usable energy was actually 51 kilowatt hours, which is greater than the 49.5 or even 47.5 kilowatt hours usable that other people have reported online, leading to a really fantastic range. The car's total range, including the buffer, would be about 219 miles, I calculated. That's assuming 4.5% is below 0. Given that, it can do about 85%, 83 to 85% of its EPA rated range, which is not too bad. That plus the absolutely outrageous supercharging speeds and the standard range plus, I really think more people should look at it over the long range. it's a really great value, and it offers so much of the value that the long range does. Anyways, that's it. Thanks so much. Hope you enjoyed watching. Bye.